What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today, with it being Friday, we will be doing my weekly trading 2-on-2 portfolio update, and this will be week 11. We will discuss 4 main topics in today's video, first being my overall profit and loss on my account. We will then look at any dividends that have been paid this week. Thirdly, we'll have a look into each of my 12 sector portfolio pies and see how each is performing and any new positions that I've added in. And finally, we'll have a look at this week's trading 2-on-2 hot list. But before we get into all that, as always, if you're new around here, please consider subscribing to this channel, as we're only 40 subscribers away from our next big goal of 500. And with all that being said, let's dive right onto my trading 2-on-2 portfolio. As stated in last Friday's video, the whole purpose of this week was to firstly get all of my portfolio's sector pies fully diversified. So I've added in numerous companies that we'll go through today, and I'll go through my reasoning behind adding each of these companies into all 12 of my pies. And then once that all was done, next week we're going to start investing into these new companies and also start dollar cost averaging into some of my current holdings that are in the red. So firstly, my overall account value is currently sitting at €5,021. This equates to about just under $6,000. We have a total return of 8.79% or €405 profit, and again that equates to just under $500 in profit. And when I set out with this goal, started week 11, so we're 11 weeks ago, I wanted to have €5,000 invested before the end of this year, so we certainly reached that target. This week we only received the one dividend in the form of Caterpillar, and it was only 18 cents, but again, as our overall account is only worth €5,000 at the moment, and I probably don't have that much invested in Caterpillar, because we're only 5% towards my overall goal of having 100,000 invested in the market. Over time, these dividends will start to increase, and also the value and frequency of, because I'll hold more companies, they'll start to increase also over time, and the compounding effect, especially when your account value starts to get a bit larger, certainly does make a big difference. So now let's look through each of my 12 pies to see how each is performing and to see if I've added any further positions. So I've mentioned in many videos over the last few weeks that I wanted to have 5 companies max in each of my portfolio pies, and I didn't want to kind of go above that. Again, it's kind of different in some of my scenarios where, for example, my ETF sector pie, we'll go into that later on. So firstly, we have my communication services pie. We are currently up 11.5%, and we have €558 invested. We have 5 holdings now. We have 3 holdings that you've seen before in the form of Walt Disney, which is up 18.76%. We have Facebook, which is up just under 8%, and AT&T is up 1.86%. 2 new companies that I've added into the communication services sector, again, that I haven't invested in yet, but I've added them into the pies. As a whole goal this week was to get all of my pies in line, and now next week I'll start to invest into these new companies. So the 2 companies are Verizon and Netflix. I've also made videos about all the new companies that I've added in over the last few weeks, so they're all on my channel also if you want to take a look at those. Next, we have my consumer discretionary pie. We're up 11%, and we currently have €383 invested. 5 holdings here again in the form of Tesla, which is up 47.87%, so I'm quite happy with that. McDonald's is pretty much break even, it's just in the red by 0.16%. Starbucks is up 1.26%, and Nike is up 1.39%. Target, again, one of my newer companies I've invested in here, so on my channel you'll see some videos on why I invested in that company as well. Consumer staples, we again have 5 holdings. We're up 4.84% overall and have €210 invested. 5 holdings here in the form of Coca-Cola, which is up 7.4%. PepsiCo is up 6.88%, P&G is in the red by 0.67%, and we've added 2 new companies here in the form of Beyond Meat and Walmart. Next up, we have my energy sector pie. We are currently up 22.22%, and we have just under €200 invested. 3 holdings here, and again, I know I said that I wanted to have 5 holdings per each of my sectors, but because we have an ETF in here, I'm happy just to keep it at the 3. So we have my 2 old school style energy sector companies here in the form of ExxonMobil, which is up 19.5%, and we have Chevron, which is up 27.15%. And our new holding in here is iShares Global Clean Energy ETF, which, as the name suggests, it's a renewable source of energy ETF. So it incorporates in, like, for example, water, wind, etc. And it has all the other renewable sources of energy, which is certainly the way forward in the long term. So I'm quite happy to add this position into my portfolio. We then have my original overall ETF sector. Here we have two positions, and again, I'm quite happy just to keep that two for now, as we're fully diversified in my opinion. We have the Vanguard S&P 500, which tracks the top 500 US companies. We're up 10%, and we have the Vanguard FTSE 100 GBP, which is the UK top 100 companies, and that's currently up 12.16%. So overall, we're up 10.2% in my ETF pie, and we have €608 in this account. We then have my financial sector pie. It's currently up 14.5%, and again, we have 5 holdings here. We have currently €747 invested, and the 5 positions are Visa, which is 6.5% up. MasterCard is up 5%, and I'm quite happy with that because I dollar cost averaged when MasterCard and Visa dropped. Let's say they were down 8 or 9% in the red when I bought into these first, so I'm quite happy with the turnaround here. JP Morgan and Chase is up 25.5%. Bank of America is up nearly 20%, and Goldman Sachs is up 19%. So again, I'm really happy with the financial sector here, as in the last few weeks, we've dollar cost averaged when any of these went into the red. So you can kind of see the fruits of that already now when the kind of prices go back to normal and we got in at a cheaper price. And again, just to note, because we now have, let's say, 30 to 40 companies overall in my portfolio, one of the main reasons for this as well is because I'll always have opportunities to dollar cost average. For example, if there's 40 companies in my portfolio, the majority of the time, like, statistics would say that some of these will be in the red. And when these companies are in the red, I'll put more money in to help improve my dollar cost averaging. Again, in the long term, this will make a big difference in my overall profit and loss on this portfolio. We then have my healthcare sector. It's currently up 5.2%, and we have €588 invested. 5 holdings here. Johnson & Johnson is down 1.1%. AbbVie is up over 21%. Pfizer is currently down 1.14%. And 2 new companies that I've added in yesterday in the form of Abbott Laboratories and Stryker. If we scroll down here, we then have my industrial sector pie, which is currently up 9%, and we have €218 invested. The 5 companies here are 3M, which is up 8.16%. Caterpillar, that I mentioned earlier, we got a dividend this week, albeit it was only 18 cents or so, but that's up 18.17%. Waste Management is currently up 7%, and again, 2 new holdings here, Boeing and FedEx. We then have my material sector pie. It's currently down 12%, so that's quite a substantial amount in terms of my overall portfolio. Well, the amount that's invested is quite small, but in terms of percentages, that's definitely the worst performing so far, and that's mainly due to Barick Gold. So the 5 positions here are Air Products and Chemicals, which is up 2%. Ecolab is up 2.8%. Nucor Energy is currently up 3.7%. Barick Gold is down 15.5%, and that's pretty much the reason why this portfolio sector pie is in the red, and that's due to some corruption claims. But again, that doesn't really bother me as such. Well, the corruption part does, obviously, but in terms of the company's fundamentals, nothing really has changed here as such. So next week again, as well as adding some capital into my new companies that I've mentioned already, Barick Gold will certainly be getting some more of my capital to help improve the dollar cost averaging, as I feel there's some opportunities here because it's down 15.5%. And again, long term, I believe it's going to bounce back once all these allegations and claims kind of start to settle down. And then the 5th company here is BHP Group, and it's currently up 6.5%. We then have my real estate sector pie, which is up 3.5%. 5 companies here again. Realty Income is up 4.8%. American Tower is down 2.6%. Stag is up 1.2%. Wealth Tower is down 0.3%, and Essex Property Trust is down 1.1%. And again, some of these are in the red here. So for example, next week again, I'll be looking at, let's say, American Tower. If that drops below the 3%, kind of my 3% tolerance, and once any other companies in my overall portfolio drop below 3%, I'm going to start pumping more money in to help improve my dollar cost averaging. We then have my tech sector, which is currently the biggest portfolio sector pie at the moment. It's currently up 8%, and I have €1,083 invested. 5 companies here. Microsoft is up 3.28%. Amazon is up 3.69%. Apple is up just under 5%. Alphabet Class A is up 21.3%. And a new holding in here today is IBM Corporation. And my final pie is my utility sectors, and we're pretty much break even here. We're doing about 3 cents or so, and we only have 50 over here invested at the moment, so it's my smallest sector pie, and I kind of want to keep it the smallest as well, as I don't really want to focus too much in this sector. But we have 5 companies here in the form of Consolidated Edison, which is up 0.8%. Next Era Energy is down 0.7%. Atmos Energy is up 3.7%. Brookfield Infrastructure is down 0.7%, and American Waterworks is down 3.2%. Next week, as I already discussed, my main plan will be to start dollar cost averaging into some of my portfolio sector companies such as Barick Gold and American Waterworks, etc. And also to start putting capital into my new positions. For example, just here we have Boeing and FedEx, so I want to start getting those off the ground as well. And again, as some of these companies, especially in, let's say, utilities and real estate, and even some of my material sector companies, I only bought into these a few days ago, so you won't really see the fruits of dollar cost averaging as such for another few weeks or so, because I've only invested into these companies at the once. So I need kind of some time over the next few weeks to start dollar cost averaging in here, and I believe in the coming weeks all 12 of my portfolio pies should be back in the green. Next up, just let's have a quick look at the Trading 212 hot list for this week. So in terms of the Trading 212 hot list this week, the top 10 companies held by Trading 212 members. In top position is Tesla, which has over 104,000 people on Trading 212 hold this company, so that's quite a lot. We then have the likes of Apple, Amazon, Neo, BP, Rolls-Royce. A lot of people have suggested me to invest in Rolls-Royce as well in the comment sections, so I might have a look into this company. Microsoft, Netflix, National Grid, and EasyJet make up the top 10. In terms of risers over the last 10 days, the top 3 would be Palantir, which has gone up, let's say, 44.5% change. Neo, 12% more people have added into this position. And Tesla is up 6,690 accounts, so that's quite impressive as well. And also, in terms of their top fallers, we have Naked Brand, which is down 22.78%, Smile Direct is down 6%, and Base Systems is down about 4% or so. And again, you shouldn't just use these leaderboards to pick companies to invest in. You need to do your own due diligence in every single company that you're investing your own hard-earned money into. But I always find it interesting to look through, as there's 100 companies here. I always like to look through the list, and it kind of might give you some ideas and companies that you might have forgot about. Or let's say you see some companies here that you find some potential in, and you should kind of do further research. But you could definitely use such leaderboards as this as a starting point in your research to pick some companies up. And with all that being said, that kind of brings the end to week 11's Trading 212 portfolio update. Today, we covered firstly how my overall profit and loss was looking. We're currently up 8.75%. We then looked at each of my 12 portfolio sector pies to see what new positions I've added in, and also to see how each company is performing. We had a look at my dividend payouts this week. We only had the one in the form of Caterpillar. And finally, we had a look at Trading 212 hot list in terms of the overall leaderboard and the top risers and top fallers. So if you found this video anyway helpful or useful, it'd be brilliant if you consider liking this video, as it would really help the channel out. And as always, if you're new around here, please consider subscribing to the channel. And finally, again, most importantly, if you have any questions, queries or suggestions, or if you want to have any kind of form of chat in relation to my overall Trading 212 portfolio, please don't hesitate to comment below. So thanks very much guys, have a good weekend, and I'll see you all in the next video.